How did you navigate the process of immigrating to the U.S.?
Wow, was a lot. We came from Mexico. Was very hard. Took us 17 days to be here.
The soles of my feet, like the nails, they're getting loose, so it's hard to walk.
With my family, especially my mom and my grandmother, I just wanted to give them like a better life because things in Guatemala are like really tough.
It's just, of course, what I said at the beginning, like better opportunities. You can go into colleges and get like higher paying jobs here than if you were in Brazil because, you know, there's a whole different economic difference.
Threats and concerns for her family's safety is what drove this mom of four to leave the Dominican Republic. She traveled thousands of miles and through South American countries like Colombia, El Salvador, and Guatemala to arrive at the Mexican border with her 4 children and husband.
Governor Maura Healey declaring a state of emergency due to emergency shelters there reaching capacity with migrants. Officials say there are almost 5,600 families and over 20,000 individuals in Bay State shelters. This is 80% higher than this time last year.
Why my parents came here is to get better opportunities, to get better living, and just like make sure that we have a better life.
The thing is, it's going to affect a large group of people. It's not like a sole incident.
They're here because Massachusetts has and will always be a beacon of hope, compassion, humanity, and opportunity.
So I was a assignment desk editor and also a digital project producer at Boston 25 News at the time that a immigration crisis happened. Specifically, Ron DeSantis sent up immigrants to Martha's Vineyard unexpectedly.
Now to a surprising story involving Florida Governor Ron DeSantis sending 2 planes full of migrants to Martha's Vineyard yesterday, following a recent tactic by Republican governors to draw attention to what they say are President Biden's failed border policies.
It's just mainly like unexpectedly not knowing when the next group of people are going to arrive within the state and where to place them and how to know who is who without documentation. And so there was like a lot of that going on at the time that I was working there.
I'm from Brazil, a small city called Engenheiro Caldas on the state of Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais. And I used to be there living with my mom and daddy and my 5 siblings. And I got married when I was 17. And I lived in Brazil for a year in the same city. My husband was Engenheiro Caldas for a year until I come here. When we came here, was supposed to be a very easy and soft come. But when we came, so we got to Mexico, it was a big challenge. We are supposed to be on a plane. And when we got there, they decided we were gonna walk. And this took us 17 days to be here. That's when my husband got sick and the people was crossing us was gonna leave us behind because my husband couldn't walk. And so we have some couple friends who help us. So for me, it was kind of hard. The way they live here is a little different, but I grew up in a religion family. So we, especially like on Sundays, we have a hangout with the family, cook. I love cook. I love make candies. And we have a special plates for us eating on Sundays. And I try to keep like, we celebrate Christmas and we celebrate Easter. And for me, it was a new thing to celebrate. In here they celebrate Thanksgiving, and that was something I did not do in Brazil. So for me, it was kind of hard to put our both together. But one of the things I didn't want to leave behind was my culture. It was hard because when you get here, you are an immigrant. You have no papers, especially when you cross board. So you come here without nothing. So it's hard for you to find a job, and raise a kid in here is not easy. And I used to work in a store called Boston Market, and they don't pay you much when you're an immigrant and you don't have any paper. So it was a challenge for me, but at the same time, I decided I want to raise my child, so I started to be a babysitter. So it was easy on a certain point, but you don't get much money either, and I want to keep the best for my child. For me, I work Monday to Saturday. So I need to wake up early. I have some kids go to school, wake up like 5:30. Plus my house, my husband, and work. I serve in a church 3 times a day, so 3 times a week. Sorry, and so I have I work with the child and all the children in the church. It's part I take care of, and plus I sing in the church too. So it's a routine, very crazy routine, but it's something I am in a process right now for immigration. I've been here since 2000, so it's a long journey. And for my kids' future, I wanted them to be able to set up in here, especially in here. They don't want to go to Brazil, and I'm not going without my child either. I need to stay here. So I wanted them to have a good future, go to school, do the college, and have something they like to do. And for me and my husband, I just want to be set up and stay where my kids need me. Well, for tell the truth, was just one person who helped me to be. If I'm still here today, it was my mom. Because when I got here, I didn't have any family or friends. Now I have a lot of friends on the church, and I have my kids, my sister and brothers is here. But before it was a challenge for me because I have no support from others. Have faith. That's one the thing I could say for any mother is an immigrant in here, to have faith and never look back, because if you start to look back, you're gonna starting to regret to come here, because when you get here is a hard time. It's hard with the language and the culture. Everything is hard, especially when you have kids on this place, on this country. You need to work. You need to live. You don't know with who you live in your child for 32, if your child is secure or not. So if you don't have the type of hope and think tomorrow will be better, I will do it. So that's one of the things. I think you can never regret whatever you do it, and have faith. You need to have faith in what you're doing right now, so you have a good future for your child and for you.
Me with my family, especially my mom and my grandmother. I just wanted to give them like a better life, because things in Guatemala are like really tough at the moment. But yeah, so I had to raise the money, and yeah, that was the process. Going back, so the visa is supposed to be for 6 months, because in Guatemala that you went there twice, so you see like all the people is saying hi, like people tries to take care of you, and here like you can like hit somebody and nobody like gonna give a crap about it, so nobody cares about nobody here, and nobody say hi, nobody say bye, and that's something, I don't know, I think just a different culture. I'm not judging, but yeah, I don't know what to say. Okay, I'm currently living with my uncle, and so I'm basically have like a part of my family here, and yeah, I always call my mom like every day, and something that I think that is really good that I'm here is that I can support my family. So like every like week or every 2 weeks, I'm able to send them money and support my sisters to keep going to the school and things like that. So yeah, my goal is now that I'm here, I just I like to get like my green card first, and after that, I would like to be a citizen. And my goal is like support my family and go back to Guatemala, but now to live there just to visit my family and things like that. And I don't know, probably I can find my soulmate here, and I can get married. I can find like a good girl and have some kids and build a life here. So yeah. Okay, yeah, I feel like really happy and really lucky because that I got here like legally with a work visa. Because I tried once to cross the border, and that was like 2 years ago. I remember like what day exactly, but yeah, it was like 2 years ago. I tried it, and it was like 10 people. So the story about how I crossed the border, it was kind of scary because it's not like you say, I'm sick of living in Guatemala, I'm gonna go to United States crossing the border. I mean, because Mexico's like a stock of narco traffic cartels. So to be able to cross Mexico, you have to pay them. So I paid them like $3,000 just to cross Mexico. If you get it, I mean, if you are able to cross the border from the United States and get here, you have to pay them like $10,000 more. So it's amount like $15,000, $13,000 that you have to pay them to get here. So that's a really like ridiculous amount, I know, but it is what it is. So it was like a group of 10 people. And once we get like in Tamaulipas, that's a state in Mexico, we cross the Rio Bravo in a little boat. Once we get in this side, we had to walk like for 3 hours in a little like valley, little jungle, I don't know. But yeah, we walked like for 3 hours, and after that, it was getting dark, and all of a sudden, I heard like helicopter. It was something like, and the coyote, he said like, "Hey, you gotta hide," and we didn't hide. We just started running away, like, and yeah, and it was like a lot of border patrol cars there, and dogs like following us. And yeah, after that they caught us and they put us in a truck. They sent us like to the jail for 9 days, and after that they sent me back to Guatemala in a plane. I was like full of chains in my body, like I was like, I don't know, like dangerous man. But yeah, so yeah, that's the way that I there's like some guy that is guiding you. That's the name of Coyote. So you have to follow him. He's like he's the guide. So yeah, you are not walking by your own. So there's like some guy that is like teaching you the way and everything. But they just started like running back to Mexico, and the border patrol catch you. Yeah, there's some crazy stories. I mean, I met a girl that was in my group. She was like trying for the second time, and the first time that she did it, a guy from the cartel abused sexually of her. So yeah, I think thanks God I don't have like a really bad story to tell, but there's people that couldn't make it. You know, they die in the way, or they get abused, things like that.
Before I was a professor, I was a public health nutritionist. Now, it was a while back. I worked in the town of Fitchburg, Massachusetts, where there was a very significant influx of Southeast Asian immigrants. And there was a significant Latin American population. So what we did was we got our information from the Refugee Resettlement Program in Minneapolis. And they would send us nutrition ed materials that were translated into different languages and adapted to cultural foods. And by the way, agricultural workers make farm workers in the United States are about 70 to 75% immigrants. So they're the ones who are harvesting our food and packaging our food and, farming and everything. So they follow a family of migrant farm workers. And they work very long, grueling hours, and they get paid very low wages. So at the end of the day, they're driving home, and they pull up into a drive-up of a fast food restaurant, and they all order what's called the dollar meal. So there's a special running at I don't remember if it was a McDonald's or Burger King, but it's a dollar meal where they get a cheeseburger, a soda, and an order of fries for $1. Now, automatically we might think, wow, that's not a very nutritious meal. That's terrible that they're eating fast food. But they then compared this to going shopping at a regular grocery store, and they can't even buy a pound of broccoli for that price. So then we run into problems, right? We run into problems with obesity. We run into problems with elevated blood cholesterol and type 2 diabetes. 1 out of 5 food sector workers are immigrants, and again, 3/4 of farm workers are immigrants. And these are people who get paid low wages, and hence, we'll run into problems with malnutrition. Now, the healthcare sector seriously needs immigrants to translate. People would have come into this country fairly recently. They're under a lot of stress. They have to learn a new language. They have to learn how to navigate the healthcare system, which is very bureaucratic. And so they would often be relying on anybody, neighbors, friends, distant relatives. And so it would be really challenging to keep track of all that. And then on top of that, having to prepare the paperwork to apply for things like supplemental nutrition assistance, health insurance, food assistance programs. So those are the big challenges. And again, as healthcare workers, if we work in a healthcare setting, we can help people navigate all that because, we have access to the health insurance policy and to the system. But for a new immigrant, it's very overwhelming. And I can see why people may not bother to apply because they don't even understand all the rules and regulations. For migrant families and for recent immigrants, if they had better affordability and accessibility to nutrient-dense food that's not laden with calories, excess fat and excess sodium and just generally poor quality foods, we would have much better health outcomes. And, I'll give you an example. In Framingham last summer, there was a significant influx of immigrants in August, particularly fleeing Haiti. And so the Pearl Street cupboard, which is in Framingham, was completely inundated and overwhelmed. But they told me they actually did manage to provide food for everybody, thanks to a very well-run program and lots of donations. And they do actually provide, not just canned and packaged foods, but fresh produce. And they were able to provide for everybody. So keeping the food pantry stocked for recent immigrants is absolutely crucial. And so all we can do is advocate for the state to keep funding programs that help recent immigrants.
It was a very hard trip at the beginning. The purpose was going to be like as soon as we crossed in, gave ourselves up to the border patrol, but we are misled in Mexico. So basically, the coyotes, right? The guys that took us basically took us to one place and then kept us there. In what was the town? I think it was Reynosa in Mexico. And then we crossed into McAllen in the river. I almost drowned, me and my wife. And then I had to run inside, across a hallway. Imagine try running mass pike during, not a rush hour, but in the late at night. And from there, they took us to a isolated community. They have these old houses close to Orange Grove, and that was in McAllen, I think, Texas. And then basically they kept us in there for I think it was 2, almost 3 weeks. And then came the real nightmare. It was like say, okay, now they're gonna give us ourselves to drop the border patrol. Says no. Then we had to walk. Like they came with some cars and then took us someplace, and then had to walk in the desert. Like we walk like out through the night and then hide during the day. And as we go crossing, this is across Texas, like the fences, the further you go going inside Texas, the higher the fences were. Like, so there's barbed wire and everything, like thirst and hunger, everyone. It was me and I knew a couple of the people that were with us because we left like the same town in Brazil. And that was the first day, hot during the day. And then at night it was like raining. And we walk the second night, and by that time I have lost like the soles of my feet, like the nails, they're getting loose, so it's hard to walk. And they gave me something that says, "Oh, this is for the pain." So it was probably like some kind of stimulant, because I managed to walk until I could barely like walk no more, and it was me and my wife, and it was hard. And then finally got to a point that we walked, the guy say we by the highway, and then this guy come with the car and just shove everybody in. And this is from there they took us, was it Dallas? I think it was Dallas. And that was like the first leg. And then we had to cross it entire United States they basically like rent like a van, like those transportation things. And then the guy drove us all the way from Texas here to Boston, me, Mom, and the other friends that I had, and some other people that I didn't know. I have been here before, so that was the main reason that I wanted to come back again. But the first time that I came with a visa, and then after I overstayed my visa, I went back, and I tried to get a visa again, but your mom couldn't get one at the time, so that's why we came to Mexico. Me and her said, well, let's try our luck and see what happens, because the situation in Brazil was very bad at the time, like economically speaking, and she was having a lot of problems. Like when I left my town, it was a small town, but then we come back, city grows, people change, so I better like recognize anyone. So we had a lot of problems with like crime and drugs, drug-related incidents, even like murders in my own town that was like unheard of before. And she had a brother at the time that they were saying that the gang in there wanted to kill him and say they want to kill him and her family, so she was scared. So that was one the reason I say, okay, well, don't need this, just let's go back and start over again in another country. And she wasn't psyched about it because she had never left home. But the other option was even worse, to stay in there. There was not much to do. When I left Brazil the first time, I had two options at the time. I had just graduated as an accountant, so bookkeeping, I could follow in that, or I could join the army at the time. And then the third option, I had relatives living here already, so my aunt of mine, she helped me with the money so I can come. And I was 18 years old. That was like 1992. So I came, stayed here until 97, went back to Brazil, and came back again. I think it was 2000. So I remember because it was like the year before the towers fell, World Trade Center. And at the time when I came, I was still possible for like me to become legal because through work. But the problem was like when I got here, like the soles on my feet, I had lost most of the skin on the sole of my because of walking the desert, and then they had my shoes like all drenched with water when we crossed the river. And I basically stayed, I think, about at least 2 weeks. I could not even like walk. And then I started working. I worked for cleaning at the time. I worked night shifts, so the guy couldn't sign my papers. And then right next year, when I was about to change jobs and apply, it came the terrorist attack, the September 11. And after that, it became much harder to do anything. And I finally, now, me and Mom, we have give interest in our papers, like ask for asylum, and it's in process. We have a court due. And it's been an ongoing process. So in this part was, I think, almost 7 years. that will be going with this, and we have a court date now to give a decision if they're gonna get the green card or just like keep us as just like temporary residents. I think that's what they call.
Would you say that decision to come to the United States was best for your family?
It was best for my family, definitely.